A big thank you to Agent Travis for his help in collecting all 3 points. We'll be discussing the game as well as how important is club culture. Welcome back to Where the Town Walk with myself, Luke, and today we've got Ian and Rich talking all things Ipswich, including this week's A to Z and tweet of the week. Well, Ian, let's start with the game. 3 points on the road. We showed a bit of character.
Yeah, you see Derby in the week, a cracking win at Bristol. But true to form, they're crap at home, they're great on the road, Derby. So I was worried that they would buck the trend on that one. And I think with the whole Sammy Smodic's transfer as a kind of bit of a dark cloud over us as well, that there was a classic opportunity there to really rub our noses in it. But yeah, we managed to get a fairly fortunate goal via Agent Travis. And then, there were times where Derby were kind of basically neutralised, but we still let them come back in at times. I think Rich and I both mentioned the decision-making. For me, that was the difference between getting what was, a professional performance to win 2-1, which could have been actually fairly straightforward 3-1, 3-0 win. And, that's something they really need to work on. But it was great to see Leif Davis get a cracking header. And when you hear his post-match conference saying about that's what he'd been practicing in training. I mean, that's good to think that what they're doing in the training ground is coming to light. And I think that the assist was a real strong confidence boost to Casey McAteer on the right wing as well. There's a lot of questions about that guy, and he's not let that affect his game too much, I don't think. And he showed that he can do what he needs to do on the right wing. When Burns had to come off, which was heart in the mouth moment when everyone was hoping it wasn't a recurrence of his knee, but I think he's fine.
Yeah. I loved Davis's 2 celebrations as well. One for his little one that he's got on the way, and then also he done one for the old Spygate, didn't he? Leeds versus Derby Spygate, and being playing for Leeds. So yeah, I liked his 2 celebrations. Rich, what did you think to the game? I think we were all in our group chat saying if only we could have, the end product, the final ball, we could have been clear in the first half. I think that's the next thing we need to look at to build on as a squad, don't we?
Yeah, I think, look, it was a great away day, Luke. It took me back to when we won there in the League One days, like the celebrations at the end. It was a really good away win, and you could see what it meant to McKenna. He was giving the old punch in the chest. Look, I think if football, we always want more, don't we? We're happy that we won, obviously, but there was stages in that game where a little bit more care on the final pass, right decision. I think if we get a second goal in that first half, we're probably going to win that game 3 or 4-0. I thought we're really on top, but you know what football's like. If you don't get that second goal, you're always leaving yourself open to that. Look, it was a penalty. It was a soft one. I think he has obviously caught him, and I think Bobby Clark, he's moved his feet just a little bit quicker, and at that stage you're thinking, here we go again. It's might be another 2 points dropped, or even worse, Derby could go on and win that because they got a little bit of momentum in the game and the crowd were up. But I thought we managed that period quite well, and then we got back in the game. And look, I don't know how many times I've watched that Leif Davis header, Luke. It's in double figures, but it was where I sat. We had a great view of it when he's headed it, and you could just follow the flight of that ball. And Brewster's on the line trying to do an overhead kick, and it was a great moment. It was a good win, and it's one of them ones now where you've got to build on it. You've got that victory, and I know we've got FA Cup next week, and we're probably going to talk about that, but it can give you that lift and that momentum now to go on. And look, Coventry dropped more points. There's a big game tomorrow night with Sheffield United and Borough, and hopefully they can help us out. But we've got to help ourselves out. We can all be happy that other teams have dropped points, but I think the key now for Town between now and the end of the season is consistency. And if we're consistent in the remaining 16 games, there's no reason why we shouldn't be in them top 2 places.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that coming back to Davis header, I think that was beautiful. Bruce was so close to clearing that off the line, so he was perfect. Any lower, I think he does. So that was perfect goal. Good to see Davis coming up with a goal. He's not been involved as much as his assists are not as high, etc. But that was a big goal for him. Another player that used to be a Town player, not now a Town player, Ian, is Travis, and he had a shocker, didn't he? Scores an own goal, gets 2 yellow cards. He was amongst it, but all for the wrong reasons.
It's weird because he loved his time and he's here at Port Road. Me and him became quite good friends, but when Derby came down the Portman Road, there was a lot of banter going on between him and the North Stand, and it just seemed to there was no break. Yeah, that all through the game, he was kind of getting subtle digs at people, and you could see. I mean, it was a real soft second yellow card the ref gave. I don't think it should have been sent off personally, but you could see if anybody was going to go, it was going to be him. There was a lot of niggles going on between him and a few players. And again, there's only a couple of players left over who he actually played alongside at Ipswich. And by that point in the game as well, it was done and dusted. And it left on a bit of a. I hate to see it when Ipswich are like make exaggerated dives, for example. I don't think we need to do that. And that's quite often we were diving and stuff, and I was like, oh, come on, guys, it's just. I mean, Furlong is our equivalent of Travis, isn't he? And he had some good ones in there as well.
Yeah, but do you know what, Ian? I don't want to see diving. I'm not going to say I like to see diving, but we also do need. Sometimes we're a nice club. Sometimes we're a very nice club. I like to see a little bit of the dark arts, a little bit there. I don't mind Furlong doing these little shithousery stuff. And going back to the red card, I don't think it probably was a red card, but he should have got sent off in the home fixture with his stamp on Kayusta.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's say it evened out. I think definitely. Rich, what did you think? Obviously, you were watching the game. Do you think Travis?
I've never seen so much crying from the Derby fans on the socials today. I'm thinking, did I watch a different game here? Look, we can all say that. Look, diving, feigning injury. It's not great, Luke, but it's part of the game now. And if you can't beat them, you got to join them. I hate it, but. You only have to look at the game after 3 minutes there when Danny Bath's gone to the sideline to have his shirt changed because he's obviously got blood on it. And the goalkeeper, who's literally, he hasn't even got warm. He's down and you know there's nothing the matter with him. He's playing the referee there because he doesn't want, obviously, to play with 10. And I think IFAB, they're thinking about bringing in a new rule that if the goalkeeper goes down, they have to pick a player to go off for 30 seconds because obviously the keeper's the only one who doesn't go off. So look, we all know it goes on. Furlong is, he's the master of it, isn't he? And he seems to wind the people up. I think it is a second yellow. If you watch it in slow motion, there's a little knee in there. He probably makes the most of it, but like you say, Luke, it's Dr. Karma paid Lewis Travis a visit yesterday, didn't he? After Portman Road, and I still can't quite understand what he's doing with that header. I've watched it back and it's just...
It's a great header.
I think in the Premier League, though, that might get disallowed because I think it's O'Shea. He's got a sort of a hand on the goalkeeper. So, look, we hate VAR. We spoke about it before we come on about the Liverpool game. But, yeah, look, dark arts, you've got to get on board. And I do agree with it. We have been too nice as a club for way too long. So if that has to come into your game, so be it.
Definitely. Talking about being obviously a nice club and having a little bit of dark arts, and there's been a lot said about the club culture this week. Obviously, we're not going to get into the Smodic situation and what McKenna came out and said, but what I want to take from it is how important club culture is within a dressing room, within a club, and how I think it really does start from the top, from the owners, the manager, really set a real good club culture. Do you think it's important, Ian? And do you think that's has to be at the core of every club?
I think that's always been the mainstay of their recruiting strategy as well. Make sure the individual fits the culture of the club, not just their ability. Because there's plenty of talented guys out there, but you've seen it when a really talented player comes in, he's got a bit of a bad attitude. It actually causes more problems in the change room. And I've done that as a manager myself, where you've just sent guys away, said, right, don't travel with us on Saturday. I don't need you there, because you're creating more grief than you're solving. So I think Kieran McKenna's glad the window's now closed as well, because he now knows the squad he's got is the squad he's got. That's it. He doesn't have to think, have I got somebody else coming in? I mean, yeah, there could be a free agent. I doubt it. He's got the team that he wants there. I think that everybody is bought into what he wants. None of us will ever really know exactly what happened with Sammy. I mean, there's plenty of rumours banding around. But if that was still leaving a bitter aftertaste within the squad, that is going to upset the culture. Then, as a gaffer, you don't want that. You don't want that there, because you want to know that players can. And we saw, didn't we, when Jayden and Matusila had a bit of a ding dong. That seems to have been done and dusted and put to bed. Whereas this other issue that wasn't as public has obviously gone a bit further, and consequently McKenna stated what he had to say on the presser. about the club culture and trying to preserve the club culture, because that is important. We are a new team. I looked at my Ipswich Town League One mug the other day, and I've got two of them actually with all the players on, and there's only 3 players left on those mugs. Davis, Hurst, and Walton. I thought we really have this year have a whole new team. So we are the plan we had from League One, Championship to Premier League. We're trying to do that in one season. So it really is important to have a really good culture in the change room.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget Burnsy as well. Burnsy was in.
Well, Wes on there as well. Yeah, actually, yes, true.
Burnsy, can't forget him. Yeah, what do you think, Rich? Do you think it's an important thing, isn't it? And do you think McKenna, it shows strength in the manager to go, right, no, we need to stick to our values and make sure that we preserve our club culture?
It's really un-McKenna-like, wasn't it, to come out and actually say something there. So look, there's obviously stuff going on, which we don't really want to talk about, but you've got to get everyone pulling in that same direction, Luke, which we had in them back-to-back promotions. Everyone trusted everybody, and I think you see yesterday at the end of that game, like I said, there was a little bit of that coming back. You see with the celebrations, and we all need to be united as one. As fans, look, we are quite critical now, and I think nowadays in the social media sort of time, it is easy to criticise and go on and say certain things about certain players. But I think we probably as fans need to do better as well. I've probably been guilty myself. And football's a passionate game. But Ian spoke really well there. You've got to have everybody on the same page. And if they thought that Sammy wasn't, he has to go. It's sad. It just hasn't worked out with him, because I think when he signed, I was really excited. You're signing the Golden Boot winner from Blackburn, and I've no doubt that he'll go to Derby now under Eustace, and he'll utilise him in probably the correct way, because I don't think he ever really fitted our system, how we played on the pitch, and yeah, we just move on and we just put that one to bed. He'll obviously come back in the summer because he's only a loan, but I think he's probably played his last game for Town, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. He much is better suited into a counter-attacking style team. That's why I think he probably did better for us in the Premier League, because we played a bit more on the counter attack. I know he obviously had his injury in the second half of the season, but yeah, I think in the Championship he's just not that sort of player. We said it so many times. The type of 10 that we want, and that's just not Schmods. So yeah, but yeah, going back to the club culture, I think it's very, very important, and it's good. Unlike McKenna, to come out and say something so strongly. So yeah, I like it. I like to see it. I like him to show that he cares about the club. Not just the winning this season. It could have been very easy to keep Schmodix because you think, he's a player that he's talented that could help us, but he's gone no club culture and sort of focusing on the club. I like it. Right, talking about players, let's talk about some players that we've fallen in love with. We're coming up to Valentine's Day, and I want to talk to you boys about any player, the past or present, a lone player maybe. Is there anyone that you've fallen in love with and you hold close to your heart? Ian, let's take it away with yourself, mate.
Yeah, I mean, you never fall in love with a lone player, is what we said. But I mean, I think a lot of people are quickly falling in love with Kipre, and that is certainly one player I'll hope that we secure to a permanent deal. I think for me, though, of all the players, when I was growing up, it was quite easy to admire the likes of Mariner and Alan Brazil and stuff. But the one player who's always really, I kind of thought, is my favourite, probably my favourite player, has always been Pablo Quinago. And he hasn't been the most prolific, but I just love his Latino spirit when he came to the club. He really was, a very emotional player. Had some fantastic moments. I think back to that winner against Coventry. I mean, that was just, until the Jeremy Sarmiento goal, that was probably one of my favourite last minute goals. So yeah, for me, it's going to be Pablo Quinago.
Yeah, I like that. Rich, what about yourself? Is there anyone you've fallen in love with?
I think it's probably always going to be a striker, because they're the ones, don't they give you them moments. And we're talking about, obviously, we wanted a striker in the window. And I remember when we signed Marcus Stewart, Luke. I mean, I think you'd never probably have that now, where a team are one of your rivals in Huddersfield, and then they go and sell their best striker. And it's sort of Steve Bruce at the time, I don't think he was probably on board with it. And it's sort of their season just faded away, where Marcus came in and he gave us that boost, and obviously scored at Wembley. And then, I mean, the Premier League season, it was storybook stuff for him. And he was really unlucky that season that he didn't get an England cap, because He was the top scoring English striker that season. I remember being at Anfield, when he scored the winner.
Yeah.
And look, he's a great guy. And obviously, look, we know the story that he's going through at the minute. And all of Ipswich are behind him because we absolutely love him. And yeah, Marcus Stewart, I had a pair of the gloves, Luke, that he wore, and then they sold them in the club shop. Yeah, what a guy, Marcus Stewart. Yeah, lots of love for him. Probably not just from me, from Town fans far and wide.
Yeah, when I first started watching Town quite a lot was the Power Gen era, and so Darren Bent for me was the player. The first, and we were following sort of the striker route. Darren Bent for me, I absolutely loved the guy. I thought he was brilliant, and again, comes across such a nice guy. I don't know if you guys listen to him on Talk Sport now. He's brilliant on there, and I really do think. Yeah, he had a good career as well. Obviously, he went on to play for the likes of Tottenham. Probably was his highest club. So yeah, no, great player, and yeah, good bloke. Lovely. Right, now we're on to Wrexham away in the cup. So that's the next game. We've got Wrexham in the cup, and then we've got Wrexham in the league. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First one is, Ian and Rich. We'll start with Ian. What game would you rather win?
Yeah. League for me, absolutely right now, because I love the FA Cup. We've spoken about this before, but right now we've got an opportunity to kind of the gap's at 4 points, so we need to win against Wrexham, and yeah, so for me, we need to get the 3 points. If we go out of the cup, we go out of the cup. But yeah, we need to be consistent, get that 3 points on the road.
Rich, do you echo that, or what's your thoughts?
I'd be amazed if anyone said they'd pick the FA Cup over the league. And look, like Ian says, we all love the FA Cup, but it's not top of the list of priorities, is it? It's an important game for certain players, who need minutes. But if we win and we get through, fair enough. But we all want to get them 3 points when we go there in the league. And they obviously had a loss yesterday, didn't they, against Millwall at home? So they're obviously going to probably want to put that right. Look, tough game when we go there. And yeah, look, we'll see what happens Friday. But it's definitely the league one's the more important game. And I think Kieran would say that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to win them both, obviously, but yeah, I think you're right. The league game definitely. It'd be interesting to see what the starting lineup is in the cup game. Obviously, Burns has got what we think maybe a slight groin injury, but obviously we can see whether how significant that is. Hopefully, it's not very significant, and he can be a part of it. But if not, a player, this might be a slightly left field, but I'm seeing a lot of Tudor Mendel in the under-21s. I'd love to see him have a little cheeky game for the first team, and the cup game might be a way to see how he's progressing. He's a player that I'm you boys have seen as well. He pops up a lot, doesn't he? He's having a really good spell for the under-21. So yeah, we'll see. But talking about the cup game, Ian, what do you expect from the game, and what is your score predictions, please, mate?
Like I say, yeah, we've got a fairly large squad, and with the exception of Burns now, with Jaden and Nunes potentially back in contention, got a lot of people vying for minutes. Probably still a couple of little systems I think that McKenna wants to try out. So I think it may well be our second squad, our B team, but that's still going to be a phenomenally talented and expensive team. I think Wrexham now are definitely going to be focusing on the league. The FA Cup's all well and good, but I don't think their heart's going to be in the FA Cup as much as it will be the following week. So there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of that. And anybody playing wants to prove to McKenna that they're worthy of that starting position next week. So for me, I am fairly confident we're going to get an away win. I think it could probably be 2-1. There's too many ghosts at Wrexham that are going to come back to haunt us, whether it be Brody or Kiefer Moore. And they got a really good squad as well. Wrexham, they've spent well, and they're a club that's definitely going in the right direction. But it's an interesting, one of these three-sided grounds, not much atmosphere at one end, and not going to have the biggest following of Ipswich fans, unfortunately, due to the lack of tickets. But I'm sure the guys and girls who'll be there will really make themselves heard. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win to Ipswich on the FA Cup.
Okay, I like it. The thing is, if we do lose the cup game and Wrexham go on to have a great campaign, they're going to chuck us in a documentary. I don't know how Rich, what do you expect from the game and your score predictions?
I think it's probably an unwanted distraction, Luke, for both teams. I think the league's more important, and we know that where the riches lie. I'm looking forward to seeing Dan Neil play. I think he'll get a start. I thought he was good when he came on yesterday, and he needs them minutes looking to the next league game, I think, because I think as well as Jack Taylor does in there, we've obviously signed Dan Neil, I think, to come and play. But he hasn't played, so he needs to play. You might see he might bring in a bagger at the back. I think anyone like a Leif Davis, he's not going to travel. He can put his feet up for the week. I think Mehmeti's cup-tied, so you're going to probably see an Akpom in there. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, Luke, and Wrexham are going to win 5-4 on penalties. There you go.
Well, that would be a blockbuster for the Dog. That'd be a good one for them. But this, like I said, I do hope we win both games. So we shall see. Right, well, we're on to the A to Z. We're flying through it, as we always say. The letter P. Rich, we'll start with you, please, mate. Who or what is your letter P for Ipswich?
Well, I do want to bring the room down. Ian's going to do that in a minute with his P. So I went for Trevor Putney. He was playing when I started going in '84. Good midfielder, blonde hair. Used to be a postman, Luke. I think there's an iconic picture. I think he's in the programme, Ian. One of them programmes back in the '80s of him with his post van, and he's got his post uniform on.
Yeah.
I'm quite good mates with him. I interviewed him a couple of times when I was on another podcast. He's absolutely hilarious, but he did make he crossed the divide, Luke. He did go and play for Norwich, but he's a great guy, so we'll let him off. But yeah, Trevor Putney.
All right. Ian, have you got a funny story about old Putters as well?
Yeah, I think I used to get out with, I'm sure I was out with him, George, Ainsley, and a couple of others, actually. And I didn't have any shoes, and they pulled out a pair from a car. So too big for me. I think I had to wear a couple of pairs of socks with them. Yeah. So I still got your shoes, Trev.
Love it. Ian, what is who is your
this is interesting because this is strange. This is a player that came to the club, and it was our first Uruguayan player in the Premier League. So that kind of gives it away, really. Adrian Paz. And he came along with another South American, Argentinian, Mauricio Tarrico, from the Argentinian leagues. And at the time, I think this was, in my mind, the kind of demise of John Lyle when he moved up to being director of football. And we suddenly saw these players coming in. And I just remember everyone's thinking, oh, we got the South American, we're going to be fantastic. And other than the fact that he did score against Liverpool at home, I think he was a complete flop, to be honest. And yeah, it was strange. But Mauricio Tarrico came with him, totally different. Obviously, he's a semi-legend with the club. So yeah, for me, it's Adrian Paz. I think he was working at a football academy in Florida last time I heard, but I got a feeling he may have moved back to Uruguay. I think after us, he didn't really work out. He went to the MLS, got moved around to a couple of teams, then went to China, played in China for a few years, but never did much more. I think his claim to fame is the first Uruguayan to play in the Premier League. That's about it, really. So yeah, Adrian Paz.
Like it. I don't know. I don't normally do it, but the letter P, the first thing that came to my mind was all the Pauls we've had as managers: Paul Gill, Paul Cook, Paul Hurst, Paul Lambert. We love a Paul, didn't we? So yeah, that was the first thing that came. None of them did too well. Paul Gill maybe, no. But none of them actually had too much success. But yeah, right. Moving on to our final feature, which is Tweet of the Week. I think we've sort of half covered it already, but it's very important, I think, especially at this sort of stage of the season. And the tweet reads, "The squad is the squad, time to support the team." We've all obviously had our opinions. We wanted a number 9 in, etc., etc. But now it is time to really come together as a fan base to really push the boys. The squad is the squad. There's nothing we can do about it now. We've got to push the likes of Azon, the likes of Hurst, and really try and make sure that they feel confident. McAteer came on, obviously had a brilliant moment, great ball for Davis. We need to really give these players the confidence to go and perform, because football is a confidence game. Rich, I know you go to obviously home and away, you're well travelled. It's important, isn't it, that the support the team gives the players?
Yeah, look, it's football and everyone's got an opinion, but I think the time now, like you say there, it is. We can't do anything about it. We spoke on here quite a bit, and it's been across social media. We're all disappointed that we didn't get a 9 in, but obviously Kieran was given a list that there was no one on there who was any better. This is the problem, though, Luke, that we didn't address in the summer. So this wasn't a January problem for me; it was a summer problem. But like you say, that's gone now. We've just got to get on with it. And the time to criticise, if it all goes wrong, will be at the end of the season, because we all know it'll happen. There'll be a lot of questions asked if we don't get promoted. But between now and then, it's like yesterday, like I said, that it was a great away end, and it was really good at the end there. McKenna comes across. Matt C was doing the old fist pump. We've got to get someone like him. See, Nunes does his little fist pump, Luke, but there's not a lot in it. You need someone giving it the big one. And Matt C was he was going mental. So we like that. Look, we might have some new heroes. Mametti yesterday, we haven't spoken about him. I thought he was top draw yesterday, and I think for 3 million there, I think we could have a little golden nugget. So yeah, look, it hasn't been the most exciting football so far. And I don't think it was ever going to be that way, Luke, after the promotion last time with the group of players we had, and we've spoke about it on here, that we all loved them. They all knew what they were doing. It's a new group of players, like Ian said earlier, and we've just got to get behind them now. And I think results like yesterday, it helps bring everyone together, because I've said before, I struggle to like some of this team. I haven't liked what I've seen, but yesterday I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And hopefully now that can push us on. You see Dara there. Go and watch Town in 5 if you've not seen it. It's probably the best one of the season. And McKenna said yesterday, didn't he? It's his favourite win of the season, which I took quite a lot from that. I'm thinking, look, we've beaten Sheffield United 5-0. We've beaten Norwich. We had a great win at Coventry. But Kieran knows what's best. So it's time to get behind them and hopefully give him that little push, because we can be that 12th man. And I think on the road, I think that the fans are always loud. But at Portman Road, I think we can all do a little bit better, Luke. I think we can. And sometimes it doesn't help how the stadium's designed, how the noise travels. But we've got some big games coming up at Portman Road. We've got to play Hull. We've got Borough. We've got Millwall. We can be the 12th man, and we could give the team that extra little push that can get them over the line, I think.
Definitely. It doesn't help when teams come and they sit in their low blocks. So it doesn't help in terms of the entertaining aspect. But sometimes that's when the players need us the most as fans, to really try and give them that extra push. So yeah, you're right. I think Portman Road, we could definitely be louder. We always pack it. Yeah, we always pack it out, and we've got brilliant fans and everyone. But yeah, I'd like to see a real sort of nice, passionate, loud atmosphere to really push the boys for the rest of the season. Ian, I know you obviously go to the games as well. It's important that the players really get behind, especially some of the players like Casey McAteer, the players that are maybe low on confidence. It's really important to sort of push them and make them feel part of the team.
Yeah, and as the season progresses, teams coming to Portman Road are going to be nervous, because, as the race for the playoff positions gets harder, and that's why we've got to be consistent to push ourselves into that top 2. But other teams are going to come. They're going to play nervous. They're not going to want to throw the low block. They know they can't afford to go away with 1 point. So we need to, really step up a little bit there, and like I say, no more than this, the nice guy. Get the 12th man involved as well. Really get the atmosphere going, and have faith in McKenna. I guess with not signing a striker again, is probably he feels he's been stung on some of the players he was advised to buy that took too much time. The Akpom and Azon deals on off. And maybe McKenna's like, I just don't want to go through that again. And the players that I'm interested in, they've obviously had conversation with agents, like when Bamford wasn't really sure about coming, and then Pirro wasn't sure about coming. He's probably said, I'm not interested then. I don't want to enter in. If we haven't got anybody, I'm going to spend the time on my players, because that's much more valuable than spending my time in the office with Ashton talking about and trying to convince someone to come and play for the club. And that's why I said, January window closes, managers everywhere like that. Thank God I can concentrate now. And that's what he's got. He's got a mission to accomplish, which is to get us back into the Premier League. And I can guarantee that every waking moment of his will be spent doing that. And we should, pay them the minimum of compliments by encouraging the team to do their best and try to, be a bit more sensitive maybe if George misses a sitter next time.
Yeah, spot on, Ian. Well said. It goes back to club culture, doesn't it? If players don't want to be at the club, and we have to try and convince players to come in, then maybe they're not the right players. So spot on. It brings it back to the club culture, making sure that that's strong. And yeah, you're also right. Teams now this time of the season, maybe they're not happy with a 0-0 draw, so you might see games a little bit more open against some of the teams fighting relegation because they need the 3 points, etc. So yeah, interesting. But like we've all said, now's the time to support the boys, and I think I think I'm feeling quite positive. I'm really feeling quite optimistic. It wasn't the best of games in terms of loads of high scoring goals, etc. against Derby, but it showed a bit of character, and that's what I wanted to see. So yeah, thank you guys for a great conversation as always. It's always brilliant talking to you both. Thank you everybody for watching at home. Please like and subscribe, and please get involved in the comments below, talking all things